you. How about a quick round of applause for the ladies in the kitchen and our young lady servers. Everything was fantastic and delicious. At this time, I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Our speaker today is Ryan Koenigsknecht. Ryan's a Fowler grad from 1994. He was a member of Coach Spicer's first state championship football team back in 1993. He coached Fowler JV basketball for 8 years back in the early 2000s. He now lives in Westphalia with his wife, Lisa. They have 3 kids, Haley, Michaela, and Kaiser. And Ryan is currently a multifamily underwriter with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And he is also the current boys golf coach at Pewamo, Westphalia. Ryan's here today to talk to us a little bit about his story. As Catholic dads, we're all on a journey. We're all on a path, and that path is never straight, okay? Or never as straight as we'd like it to be. And we are human by nature, pursuing a relationship with a perfect God. And it's something that we do all too often by ourselves. But one of the reasons we have this Father-Son breakfast is so that we can be reminded that we don't walk alone, that our journey is one that we share with others. And I wanted us all to welcome Ryan Koenigsknecht.
Wow, I can tell the Holy Spirit is working because I am not nervous, and that is crazy because I thought I would be. I've had a lot of people praying for me and with me the last few days. Thank you for that. Thank you, Coach Hoofnagel. Seems like just yesterday you were trying to teach me the veer option. And that was hard, 30 years ago. Thank you, Coach. I want to thank you, Dean Schrauben. I want to thank you for having me here today. I appreciate you inviting me to be here and trust that my message is something people want to hear. Thank you. Today, guys, this is a day I will absolutely never forget. Not everybody gets this opportunity, and I will cherish it. This is one of the most humbling opportunities I've ever had in my life. All of you that are here today can go home today knowing you made mine. Father and sons have a special bond. They are born to be together. A relationship where we learn from one another, even if those lessons are hard and painful. Take advantage of every moment we have, because no matter how much time we get, it will never be enough. When I think of time, it takes me back to the 2016 ESPYs. Craig Sager, who was dying of cancer, received the Jimmy V Award for perseverance. Here's a man who knew his time was limited and therefore very valuable. Listen to his great perspective.
Or do you see each day as a blessing? Time is something that cannot be bought. It cannot be wagered with God, and it is not in endless supply. Time is simply how you live your life. I am not an expert on time or on cancer or on life itself. I'm a kid from the small Illinois town of Batavia who grew up on the Chicago Cubs and made sports his life's work. Although there's never been a day where it actually seemed like work. We must continue to donate. We must continue to fight. And we must continue to do this together. I will live my life full of love and full of fun. It's the only way I know how. Thank you and good night.
Craig passed away 5 months later. Every day we have is a gift. Many of you probably know this about me, but I struggled with alcohol for nearly 20 years. I hurt a lot of people, including the ones that I love the most. Alcohol changed who I was. It affected the things I did. It affected the things I said. and making very bad decisions as well. On Sunday, January 20th, 2013, I had too much to drink by mid-afternoon. I called my mom to come get me to take me home. And like I did oftentimes, I called my brother. I don't know why I did this all the time. Truth is, I always looked up to my little brother. I never wanted to disappoint him. And all I can think is in those vulnerable moments, maybe I needed some reassurance. And all I remember from that conversation that day, somewhere along the lines of, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? This morning, I want to share with you meaningful relationships in my life and the lessons I've learned from them. These special relationships are very emotional for me. A decision my parents made when I was born would change my life forever. They chose my godparents. In particular, my godfather, Uncle Dale. I hope everyone here can play that important role. I'm blessed to have a beautiful goddaughter, Addison, and a beautiful godson, Banks, who lives in North Carolina. My godfather is different. I'm 48 years old and our relationship hasn't changed. Unconditional love, unwavering support, endless hugs, and forever, I love yous. A lot of who I am today is because of you. I'm not afraid to cry because of you. I remember when you coached 8th grade basketball and you cried talking to me about your players. Not as players, but as people. You cared about these kids and you cried when they left. And that's one thing I've taken with me and I pride myself on. I promise you this. As a coach, I love my players as people more than I ever do the sport they play. That means something to me. Thank you for teaching me that. There are many suggestions for being a good godparent that my godfather exemplifies. Spending time, keeping in touch. Check. Celebrating milestones in our lives. He's there every step of the way. Check. Pray for your godchild. I know you do. Check. And enjoy the journey. No matter how old we get, godparenting is for life. Check. Each year on my birthday, I get a phone call. There's not a chance I will answer because the voicemail means too much to me. It's something I listen to throughout the year. Take a listen.
Happy birthday, dear godchild. Happy birthday, dear godchild. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Love you very much from your godfather. Have a good day. See ya.
That's my godfather. Godfather, thank you for everything you've done for me, and I love you. My dad, Koenigsknecht, proud graduate of Hubbardston U. And although my dad couldn't buy a ticket to a free lunch, he did an incredible job of providing for us. My dad can pretty much fix anything. He can get most engines to start. If not, he might need a little nudge from his buddy Ether. My dad worked a lot when we were growing up. Afternoons, overtime. He wasn't involved in the church and not outspoken in his faith. But as my brother said during his best man speech, my dad was there. Even though he worked the long hours and the weekends, when he got home, and I'm sure he was tired, he spent time with us. I remember the one-on-one football games where he was all-time quarterback drawing plays on the palm of his hand. Or watching Derek and I play one-on-one basketball in the driveway and he played instigator. Whether it was from the living room chair, watching through the window, or standing on the porch, he waited to see who was losing, and then he just fueled us. The agony of defeat. And I feel like he channeled Derek's temper a little bit more than mine, but he got us. After we graduated, there was a rumor, and I don't believe this to be true, maybe Gerald Arntz can confirm this or not, but there was a rumor that when we played alumni basketball, everybody hoped that Ryan, Derek, and Dad would be on the same team with the sole purpose of trying to beat us, because everyone wanted to see our reaction. And yes, I know Derek and I had some heated exchanges and Dad did some things, but I didn't know if I fully believed this rumor. So I went to the high school, and I went through the archives at the high school, and I found a video, and I said, oh my gosh, they were right. I found a video of my dad after we lost a game of alumni.
I said, that's my seat. And one lucky fan will go home with a game ball.
It is safe to say that we got our competitive spirit from our dad, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I have always enjoyed spending time with my dad. My first coaching job outside of Fowler was when I was 21 years old. And although my dad hadn't really coached basketball, there was only one person I wanted to be there for me and with me, to be my assistant coach. So I asked him, would you be there with me? Yeah, I can do that. We were playing in a game. Dad didn't say much other than keeping stats for me. He didn't say a whole lot as far as the X's and O's goes. But there was one game in particular where we were getting beat early in the first half, and I used every timeout I could. Second half, things just got worse. Down 30, down 40, and I finally called another timeout. Kids are running over to me. Dad stands up at the end of the bench, and I look at him. I said, Dad, what do we got to do? And he says, Spud, these kids should have went out for swimming. Now his competitive fire is geared towards slot machines. He sure does give it to them. Unfortunately, they just don't give back. Dear Lord, please, just one hand pay. Thank you. Amen. I'm not sure what changed in my dad's life. I can speculate that losing a brother when he was in his upper 40s, losing his mom a few years later, losing other siblings that meant a ton to him, but something changed. And as my dad often says, whether good or bad, it was now time to move up a pew in church. He started going multiple times a week, very outspoken in his faith. He ushers, takes communion to the homebound, sets up for funerals, mows the cemetery. He befriends others in the community who live alone, and he makes it a point to spend time with them. Whether it's coffee and donut, taking him to the casino, or taking him to a game, it means something to Dad that they have someone. Dad has always wanted to help people, and I don't know if I have this story right, so forgive me, and I don't even know if I have the name right. But Bill Simmons was working on a shed, pole barn, or garage at his house. And I asked Dad what he was doing. He goes, well, I got to help Bill on whatever it was they were working on. And I'm like, Dad, how did you get involved in that project? And he goes, oh, I was riding my bike by, and he was outside working, so I stopped and helped him. And now I just keep going back. I mean, that's pretty special. And my dad ends each day next to the bed thanking God for another day. My dad has laid the roadmap for me to follow. Dad, directly you have inspired me. Indirectly, you have challenged me. Today was supposed to be my first day being a Eucharistic minister at St. Mary's. I had to get a sub. but I will soon be reading at church and giving out Holy Communion. Dad, I appreciate your lead. Appreciate you. Dad, thank you for being the best dad I could ask for. I love you. I don't mind flying, but there's a bit of uncertainty. When you strap in, you have no control of the plane, the pilot, or the fellow passengers. Getting to your destination is based on faith and trust. And I'm sure to some extent, all of us struggle when we don't have that control. One thing I love about coaching is I feel like there's that father-son type relationship. I have to share with you something that happened last year with my golf program, something that impacted me, something that I won't forget. John Schaefer, my #1 golfer, senior, grew up very strong in his Catholic faith. I remember last year on our practice on Monday following Easter, he came to practice, he goes, "Coach, I served for the last time yesterday." I said, "Well done, John." He goes, "I'm going to miss it." Very committed. We were playing in a tournament that day, and this tournament was a little different. There was an individual component with a team component. Each player from my team played in an individual bracket, and so we had 6 brackets, and then however you do in the bracket, you add up your points and you get your team total. John made it to the finals of the #1 bracket, playing against a kid from Chippewa Hills named Cam. If you took their scoring averages, I'm going to guess that Cam averaged about a 37 or 38 for 9 holes, and John had a 45 for an average, roughly 7 or 8 strokes different. We were playing St. Ives Golf Course, a championship-style course. They played the back 9. Prior to the match starting, my phone had maybe 2% battery. Why is that important? This course is widespread, so I had 6 matches going on at once. We had a group text message going on so that I could know where the matches were at, so I could maybe know where to be. And my battery was dying. I knew John was down early in his match. All of a sudden, a text hit the thread that said, "Just tied it up, 2 to go." We were playing the back 9, so I went over to hole 17, which would have been John's 8th hole. I get there, it's a par 5. They were both sitting in the middle of the fairway, roughly 100 yards out, hitting their 3rd shots into the green. When I got there, John hit his shot. He put the ball in the very back fringe of the green. After he hit, he put the club away and did something I haven't seen from John in 3 years of being around him. He reached inside of his shirt and put something in his mouth. The kid from Chippewa Hills hit his ball right onto the center of the green. And I'm watching John walk to the green, and I didn't know what it was. And so John went to putt. He tucked whatever it was back in his shirt. He 2-putted for a 5. The chip he put, as soon as he picked his ball out of the hole, right back in his mouth. The kid from Chippewa Hills 2-putted par, tied, 1 hole to go. Now John has to walk past me. And as he walks past me, I look to see what it is. And it's the cross. He had the cross in his mouth. And so then right away I think to myself, here's a kid who's nervous. He's uncomfortable. He's anxious. And he goes to what he knows is going to give him comfort. I was immediately emotional. They played the tough 18th hole, and I mean a tough 18th hole. Rock solid, both players par. The rule is you get 1 playoff hole. If you're tied after 1 playoff hole, it goes to whoever won the hardest handicap hole on the first 9 holes. The kid from Chippewa Hills had done that. Now my battery has been at 1% for quite some time. We get to the tee box, and it's a downhill right to left shot, and there's a cart path. It's a blind shot, so you can't see where the ball ends up. There's a cart path with a penalty area down there, a cement cart path, a penalty area. John hits first. He hits his shot. It starts down the middle, and it starts to draw over towards the cart path and penalty area. And I'm standing there watching it. And I looked over at the Chippewa Hills coach and I said, is that in trouble? And he goes, going to be close. And when a coach says it's going to be close, it's gone. It's gone. Kid from Chippewa Hills hits his ball right down the middle of the fairway. John and I begin to trek to our golf ball. Of course, cross in his mouth. We get to the hill where you can see down, and I'm looking for that little white speck, praying to find that little ball. Couldn't find it. And we got to where we thought it would be, and it's not there. And I'm thinking it had to hit the path and bounce left because it was going left. All of a sudden, we hear these voices up by the green. There's 10 people watching this match, and we hear a voice that says, your ball hit the cart path like 4 times. It's way up here. And I sit back and think to myself, how can a ball be going right to left and bounce straight ahead? I'm like, what am I witnessing here? So John, still with cross in mouth, the kid from Chippewa Hills hits his ball right in the middle of the green. We get to John's ball. He's got a 53-yard shot uphill. John leaves his bag there. He walks all the way up to the green with his cross in his mouth, and he looks. The pin was tucked to the back right. And at this point, I'm just soaking it in. There was nothing that I could say or do. So I stayed up by the right side of the green. John went back. He tucked his cross. He grabbed his club, and he put it to 8 feet. So we come up there. The kid from Chippewa Hills, 2-putt par. John has to make this putt to win the match.
Holy crap. Oh man. Gosh, I'm so proud of you. Oh gosh. Oh, you did it. Did it. Gosh, dude.
Phone dies. Phone dies. There was 2 things John said to me. One, while we were walking off the green, he said, thank you, Jesus. And as we were down the fairway a little further, we were walking back to the clubhouse, he goes, Coach, God was with me today. And as I'm crying, all I could think about in my mind was who's coaching who. John taught me a lesson that day that will stick with me forever, that in anxious times and nervous moments and discomfort, I know it's hard, but we know where to go. We know where to go, and an 18-year-old kid can teach us that. I woke up on Monday, January 21st, 2013, and the only thing on my mind was, why are you doing this? I had no answer. At that time, I had been dating Lisa and those 2 beautiful girls. She wanted no part of it. I vividly remember her telling me, Ryan, I cannot expose those little poor innocent girls to this life. Can you blame her? I had no idea what to do. I know one thing, I didn't want it anymore. This is the very first time in my life I ever turned to God. I sat in my dark apartment in St. John's for 2 days, and I cried and prayed and cried and prayed for 2 straight days. I was so scared. I was so scared I was going to lose my friends. They meant so much to me that I didn't want to lose them. I was so scared I wouldn't be able to do anything from a social perspective because everything I did, I drank. I had no idea how I was going to do anything, but I knew I didn't want that anymore. I can't explain what happened to me. I hope some of you have experienced this. But God was there. He lifted me up. And after 2 days, I had this peace. Any desire I had to drink, any of that stuff just felt like it was gone. I didn't have it. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. 2 days later on a Friday, I called my parents and we went to dinner in St. John's at Cancun. And I know they had been praying and struggling over my life. And I looked at both of them. I said, I want you guys to know something. I'm done. And they said, oh, you know, that's good. Are you thinking AA? Are you thinking counseling? Are you thinking rehab? I said, I respect the crap out of all those programs. They work. I believe in them. But I'm good. I'm good. I had something on my side I had never had before. I didn't need it. We're over 12 years from that moment. And I'm pretty proud of that. And I look at what's happened in my life since. I've completed all the sacraments with the Catholic Church. I begged and pleaded for my wife, Lisa, and those girls because I loved and cared about them. And I asked for a chance. And thankfully she gave it to me, and we've been married nearly 9 years. Those two beautiful girls mean everything to me. The oldest is at Grand Valley in the nursing program, and our middle one is a senior this year at PW, and they're so good academically, and I'm just lucky and blessed to have them in my life. I have a really good job with the state of Michigan. I'm coaching again. I'm coaching again. And I will tell you two things that really stick out when I think of my time coaching Fowler JV basketball. There's two things that are true. One, I love and cared about all of you. I promise you that. That is always true, and some of you are here today. I love and care about you. The second thing that is true was I was a horrible role model for you, and I live with shame with that. I was not good for you. I was living a life the complete opposite of what a coach should live. And I live with that. And I want you to know, everybody that's here that played for me, that I'm sorry that I wasn't who I should have been. And God took me in a different direction and allowed me to start coaching golf at PW. And you know, we talk about loving and caring about each other more as people than we do as players. That's a big thing, like I told you guys earlier. And I just want to mention, I didn't say a word about today, except for last week. I did mention it to Coach Andy that I was doing this. But I just want to mention Coach Andy, who's on my staff, Coach Andy Hankspa, Coach Blake Smith, and I've got like 3 or 4 golfers here, some that played for me a couple years ago, that are here today. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We're there for each other outside of the sport. So I want to thank you guys for coming today and being a part of this. It means a lot to me. Oh, and those friends that I worried about, stronger than ever, never wavered. I have almost everybody that was in my wedding party here today. My brother Derek is here. TA's here. Tyler Wolfert's here. Billy Silman's here. Brian Rowell's here. Matt Thalen's here. Am I missing anybody? Scoop! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! How do I miss that? That is bad, because Scoop is one of the best friends anybody could ask for. Scoop, I love you and thank you for being here. That worry was for nothing. Look at the support that I have here today. Like a lot of things in life, I have a tendency to ask why. Why did Dean reach out to me and give me this opportunity today? You see, I've been to this breakfast before, but only as a son. Today I'm here for the first time as a father. And I think it's yet another subtle and gentle reminder from God of what's possible when you lean on Him. I'm not a father without those 2 dark days in my apartment. I'm extremely proud and honored to be here today as a dad to my 8-year-old son, Kaiser. Kaiser's a 2nd grader at St. Mary's in Westphalia. He makes his first communion in 2 months. He plays basketball, football, and baseball. And they say that kids grow up fast. That is an understatement. We spend a lot of time together, and I look forward to making many more memories with you, buddy. I love you. Love you. I want to make a special thank you. This presentation was something that I thought long and hard about, and I put a lot of time into it. And I knew what I wanted it to look like. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. So I reached out to the one person that I knew could. And Braden Andros he did everything that I asked of him, coming over, putting this PowerPoint together for me. Braden, I want to thank you for being my Uber driver today, buddy. You did awesome. I want to personally wish the best of luck to both the boys and girls Fowler basketball teams. You guys got this. Continue. Continue. I want to thank each and everybody for coming today. This is something I will never forget. It's an experience that I can't tell you how much it means to me. Thank you all, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for showing the leadership, for sharing how the Holy Spirit can motivate and embrace each and every one of us. One of the hardest things I think anybody can do is to get up in front of their hometown and to share those vulnerabilities. Even the good Lord had a little trouble in his hometown. So you did great today, Ryan. Thank you so much for blessing us with your story and your message. Dean, would you come up, please? And
I forgot to add this. If anything I said, especially with alcohol, hit home for anybody, because it can. There's my name and number. I'd be honored to talk to you.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I just can imagine, talking to the homebound community about the struggles and so on and so forth. And we all have them. So thank you so much for that sharing, okay? We got a couple of gifts we'd like to give. First, for your son, Kaiser, okay? Here you go, Kaiser. What that is. Let's see what that is. I went to my grandkids and said, "What do you think?" So, we got the gummies, right? And what else you got in there, buddy? $1 million? No. A yo-yo. Remember us by, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ryan. Let's do that.
Thank you, everybody.